It evens out. Not acoustics, but sound levels, whatever. Anyway, Proverbs 27. We'll recap that first and then move on to Proverbs 28. Proverbs 27. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Tomorrow never gets here, right? There's this board at work that I'm working on, and where people take parts that I have to see if we're going to scrap them or not. And I would like to get the board organized so people would come in when they put stuff up, they could write on it, saying, hey, I put this part in there, whatever. But on the board, I wrote coming soon because I haven't had time to actually format it out yet. And somebody came up and put tomorrow under it. So for the past month, it said coming tomorrow. Tomorrow never got here. Same example here. Boast not thyself for tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. Don't boast of yourself. Sometimes you might do great things and no one's around to see it. You don't have to go tell everybody about that. And it's better if other people go around saying how good you are than if you go around saying how good you are. A stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. How many of you have ever had somebody mad at you? Everybody? What if that person was like dumb? They're just mad at you for no reason. You ever had that happen? It's like, hey, you know this guy? No. He's mad at you. Why? If he doesn't have a reason to be mad at you, you have no way of knowing what to do to make him unmad at you. So that's one example, but with this, think of like a king. If a king isn't really, all his wits aren't about him, then there's nothing you can do, and he's just going to keep the mad king. It's like in every movie, when you're talking about the mad king, there's no reason for all the evil he's doing. Everyone just goes along with it. So that's what it's saying here. A fool's wrath is heavier than them both. So wrath is cruel, anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? This is saying that envy is worse than both wrath and anger. Because envy, there's a lot to say about envy, but envy can lead to anger and wrath. Why does he have stuff that I don't have? Why does he get to be the person that I want to be? And when you get that, for one, it can make you not feel good enough about yourself. For another one, it can make you not be happy for your friend who is succeeding because he's succeeding a little bit better than you. Both are very dangerous pitfalls to be in. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. How many of y'all have ever wrote a secret love note to somebody and didn't say who it was from? Oh, all of you back there in the back? Okay. I know at least one of you. So, what good did that note do if they don't know who it was from? Why didn't you put your name on it? I know why, because you're too embarrassed. But you weren't embarrassed enough to write the letter in the first place. So that person just got to walk around like, wonder who this is that likes me so much to leave me a note going around. And it did virtually nothing but confuse the guy. Maybe give him a little chip on his shoulder. Like, hey, somebody likes me. I hope it's somebody I like, but we don't know. But how many of you have had a friend come up to you, say good things about you, only to go to another friend and say bad things about you? Does that still happen with you guys? Happened a lot when we were in school. The drama club, right? So, yeah, it is better that if you go to your friend and you're like, hey, I don't appreciate what you're saying. They're like, I know, I'm sorry. I was just trying to show out a little bit. It's fine, but that would be better than the secret love. Because they're at least trying to help you, or you're at least trying to help them. Secret love didn't really do anything. The full soul loatheth and honeycomb, but to hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. As a bird that wandereth from her nest, so is a man that wandereth from his place. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart, so doth the sweetness of a man's friend a hearty counsel. Hopefully not. But if you ever get hungry enough, as some of you have, things that don't taste good before start tasting good, or at least taste bearable to you because you're so hungry. So imagine that with your soul. So your soul's out there and it's looking and it's just starving. It wants anything. And then somebody comes through with an answer that's not the answer they need, but they're just looking for anything, so they jump on that. That's how a lot of strange fringe movements get started. That's how a lot of weird governments have started, coups that have taken place, because the people want something. They don't know what it is, but at this point, they'll take anything. That's what gets people in a lot of trouble. But here it says, the full soul loatheth the honeycomb. If you're full and you're not hungry, you can pick and choose more better what you want to eat, what you want to put into your soul. So if you're doing, let's say, a super strict diet, then you're picking and choosing exactly what's going into your body, what you're digesting, what's going into you. Let's say no sugar, you do out all your macros, you get everything to the T, what you're going to be eating, and you feel great, right? But what if you're starving? And so, are you going to come by and someone's like, here's a can of chicken noodle soup, and you're like, no, it has too much sodium. No, because you're starving, you're going to eat anything. And so you can fill your body with Cheetos and milk, or just things that don't make any sense, things that are bad. And when you get full with those bad things, now you're building your house, you're building your body with bad things because you were starving. You just wanted anything that you could get in there. That's dangerous, and that's why it's in Proverbs, and it's saying to watch out for that. Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not, neither go into thy brother's house in the day of calamity. For better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. If things started happening right now, we'll use the house fire example here that I already had. If your house is burning down, Gary, you gonna come get me? Probably not, because his house will be burned down by the time we got back. Even though I would most certainly get up and come help Gary, I'm far away. So better a neighbor that is near than a brother afar off. Someone who can help you. So, my son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproacheth me. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Take his garment that is surety for stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. He that blesseth his friend with a loud voice rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. And this one is, don't be a... What's the word for this? Kiss up. Don't be a kiss up to anybody. Don't wake up early in the morning and go screaming how awesome you think this person is because you want kudos from them or respect, because it shall be counted a curse unto you. Nobody's going to like you for that. Probably not even that dude, because he's going to be like, this guy wants something. He's weird. I don't know why he keeps following me around and saying all these nice things about me. A continual dropping, and Jenny found this video, a continual dropping in a very rainy day, and a contentious woman are alike. Whoso hideth her hideth the wind, and the ointment of his right hand which bewrayeth itself. So, there's this Donald Duck cartoon from back in the day where he's trying to sleep, and there's just drip that just kept coming down, annoying him. And every time he would patch it, it'd start dripping over here. You patch it, it'd drip over there. He would patch the entire roof, and it'd start coming from the side or something. You know, this cartoon's something weird. But I looked forever to find it. I couldn't. And then Jenny sent it to me. So she found it. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof, so he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. So iron sharpeneth iron. You kids don't really have to sharpen stuff. You ever sharpened a knife before? Tried to? Yeah, I'm sure you have. But you need other iron, something harder to do it with. Stone is harder, it's just more brittle. That's why you can't go around smacking stuff with too much stone. It'll break. But you have to not necessarily damage it, but you have to take away from it to make it sharper. You have to grind it down. You don't grind stuff down or make it sharper without suffering. You don't get better technically without suffering. So have you ever heard like it's important who your friends are? If you want to be successful, hang out with successful people. You know, if you're around people who are just broke, complaining, losers all the time that don't want to do anything but sit around and do nothing, that's what you will become, someone who sits around and does nothing. So here it's saying just it's important who your friends are, and if your friends are making you better, that's good because you might not know it, you might be making them better as well at the same time. As in water, face answereth to face, so the heart of man to man. When you look at water, you see your reflection in it, and that's your answer. That's what you're looking at, that's who you are. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. What if somebody wanted to give you $1 million, Gary? I'll tell you, like, sure, thanks, man. Wait, what do you want, though, right? But say you just sit here, I just want to give you $1 million. Another person comes by and says, I want to give you $1 million. Another person comes by and says, here's a Lamborghini. Another person comes by and says, here's a house. A big mansion on the lake. Another person comes by and says, here's a yacht. At what point do you stop these people and say, I don't want anything else? Probably never, right? You're like, I don't know what's happening, but people keep giving me stuff, so I'm just going to keep taking it. It's because the eyes of man are never satisfied. It would kind of be silly to turn it off, right? We would justify it to ourselves like, oh, this is just God blessing me. Who am I to turn off God's blessings? Even though everything God says goes against what's happening right here. But that's just our human nature, and that's what we struggle with. It's what we fight against. As the finding pot for silver and the furnace for gold, so is a man to his praise. Though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar among wheat and pestle, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. So, in the finding pot, you can get out all the impurities from the silver, and the same thing for gold. But with a fool, you can bray and bray, twist it, grind and grind. Yet will not his foolishness depart from him in that. So, kind of hopeless. Some people are hopeless fools, it's saying here. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds. For riches are not forever, and doth the crown endure to every generation. The hay appeareth, and the tender grass showeth itself, and herbs of the mountains are gathered. The lambs are for thy clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. And thou shalt have goat's milk enough for thy food, for the food of thy household, and for the maintenance for thy maidens. So as you're saying, be a good farmer. Literally farmer. You can try to make it like, oh, goat's milk means this. Like, no, this is just telling you how to manage a property and why you should and to run it fine. Proverbs 28. Wait 2 seconds. Proverbs 28. This gets a little shifting gears here, and Proverbs 28 is all over the place, so I did the best I can. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. For the transgression of the land, many are the princes thereof, but by a man of understanding and knowledge the state therefore shall be prolonged. I don't know why I thought of this, but apparently I wasn't the only one, as always. The wicked flee when no man pursueth. Y'all remember the January 6th thing that happened? You know, we attacked the Capitol or whatever, in the most organized and nonviolent, whatever you call it. I don't even call it riot at this point. So, the wicked flee when no man pursueth. Here we got the people running away, people acting all dangerous. But if you analyze the picture and you look at it, homeboy's like, look, I don't get up for exercise for nobody. I don't care what's happening. These people just want good Twitter posts on their phones. This dude's taking a nap, literally. Just like, well, this is going to be over with. There's nothing happening. They just wanted the photo ops for all of this. They're saying that he's running, they're fleeing around. These guys are all careful, and the cop's like, where are you guys going? What are you doing? He's just standing there, doesn't know what's happening. So for the transgression of the land, many are the princes thereof. So the princes, who are princes of the land? Sons of the king, people given power by the king and all of that. They're the ones who are going to transgress the most in the land, because why? They have the most power. Their transgression goes a whole lot farther to everybody than, let's say, some guy on the street, like a peasant or something. It can have a lot more effect. So, but by a man of understanding, the knowledge of the state, therefore, shall be prolonged. So when everybody's running through and there's supposedly a dangerous riot happening, do you think people are going to be on their phones or taking a nap like the old dude while other people are really freaking out? I don't think so. And if there's a riot happening, do you think they're going to stay between the velvet ropes while they're doing it? I don't think so either. Unless they're very courteous rioters. Very courteous. So, was it sage, was it not? Who's to say, but I don't know. A poor man that oppresseth the poor is like a sweeping rain which leaveth no food. So rain comes through, waters the crops, delivers, makes the food grow, right? But the poor oppressing the poor, that doesn't happen. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. How many of you have heard of Tigray? Tigray, or Tigray, whatever. How many of you have heard of Ethiopia? How many of you have heard of Africa? Alright, well in Africa, there are two countries, Tigray and Ethiopia. And they are at war with each other, like a bad one, like kidnap settlements and kill each other and all that. And the one dude who brought peace to that region and was given the Nobel Prize is actually the head of one of the movements that are fighting against the other one. So they're thinking about revoking his World Peace Prize. But so just in case you wonder what massive worldwide achievements mean, virtually nothing, because they turn around and can do whatever they want. So they're both very poor countries and they're both blaming the other. And so they're fighting for power over different regions. And in this case, you have technically the poor fighting the poor, and in all of Africa, and that's why they can never. So Africa's really big, probably the most resource-rich country in the world, just because of where it's at and everything that's there, and the sheer size of it. So what's the strategic move if you're like a world power type person? You keep them poor, you keep them separated and fighting, and you keep them disorganized. You keep the poor oppressing the poor. That way you can come in and help who you want to help and take everything on their land while you're doing it. All the resources, all the oil, minerals, and things, because we need Macintoshes. We need them. So we need to go to war with Africa.
What is there to gain if both parties are poor?
Nothing for them, but everything if you're a rich dude.
That's right.
What are you talking about? So for they that forsake the praise, or forsake the law, praise the wicked. So if you're not abiding the law, you want to be on those sides. So the people who are the warlords coming through and fighting, they're like, oh, we want to be with this guy. He's awesome. Because they're outside of the law, not necessarily the man's law, but of God's law that's given to that. But such as keep the law, contend with them. Hey, maybe we shouldn't be at war because war is pointless. Why are we killing each other so none of us even profit? And then they tell them to shut up, kind of like what he just said. We're both Africans, why are we killing each other just over different countries? They don't know that that's all being pushed by a lot of different things that's going around. And evil men understand not judgment. They don't care that one day they'll stand before God and have to answer for all the evil that they've done. But they that seek the Lord understand all things, so they're not going to take part in it. They're going to talk against it. That was just an example. I don't know why I wanted to use African that nobody knew about, but big thing that's happening right now. Better is the poor that walketh in his uprightness than he that is perverse in his ways, though he be rich. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son, but he that is a companion of riotous men shameth his father. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. So here, you have a difference. It's breaking down the difference between poor and rich, in a sense, or more in their mindset. So, whoso keepeth the law is a wise son. What was one of the laws? To not give out with usury. We went over that in Amos and everything. Don't lend with the sake of usury. They were definitely punished for doing that because it's a very twistable system. Even the Romans, remember the Romans? when they found out what usury was, they immediately made it illegal and told all the Jews that were trying to tell them to do that they can't be here anymore. These are Romans, people that would crucify people for not giving them 500 cows when they had 2 cows. You know, those type of evil people. When they found out what usury was, they're like, ooh, that's pure evil. We need to kick that out of here. So if you're too evil for the Romans, something weird with your system. So, whoso keepeth the laws of the wise son. But he that by usury and unjust gain increase his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. So that doesn't happen a whole lot nowadays, but in a sense, when they're getting all this money and it goes to somebody who does pity the poor, that would be a good sense for this. So this is just saying that the justification of God is going to be one day all that money that you're getting from all these evil natures is going to be given to someone who will do good with it and not evil with it. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination. So if you don't want to hear God's word, you don't want to hear his law, I'm not saying you even have to follow it perfectly in this particular case, but if you just don't want to hear it, like, I don't care about God's law, I don't want to listen to it, whatever, and then you go try to pray to God that you don't want to listen to or obey, then even your prayer is an abomination. So we sin and we can pray and ask for forgiveness. But if you don't even want to try, you don't even want to hear it, and you try to pray, abomination. You know what abomination kind of means or is broken down to? Just a thing God hates. A thing that was never meant to be. So for someone who won't listen to you to come and ask you for something, that is abomination. Whoso causeth the righteous to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself into his own pit, but the upright shall have good things in possession. The rich man is wise in his own conceit, so he thinks he's doing the right thing, but the poor that hath understanding searcheth him out. When righteous men do rejoice, there is great glory, but when the wicked rise, a man is hidden. He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsake them shall have mercy. So we just went over Bathsheba, right? This is a perfect example. Who did all that with Bathsheba anyway? King David, right? And who is King David to Solomon? So he'd think he would know what he was talking about, right? So with this case, what happened? David was out there and he thought he was doing the right thing. I'm the king, I can get whoever I want. And I want that woman. But she's married to your really good friend. Well, no problem. I'll send him to war. I'll cover up my sins in this case. I'll send him out. And what happened to him for that? He got a curse on him for all of that things that happened. But whoso confesseth and forsake them shall have mercy. He did repent of his sin later on for that and was given mercy for it. But everybody, even maybe the super wicked people of the world, the people at the top, people that are causing all the troubles for us, I'm sure they're under the guise that it's all for the greater good. Wouldn't you think so? So everybody just trying to do it for the greater good, even if it means suffering for now. But the problem with that is, what I think the greater good is might differ greatly from what you guys think the greater good is. So when one person gets to make the decision on the greater good for all, then isn't the greater good for all? The greater good, necessity. Necessity is the argument of tyrants. I forgot who said that, but necessity, the argument of tyrants and the cry of the oppressed, or something like that. The creed of slaves. That's what it was. So I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Happy is the man that feareth always. But he that hardeneth his heart shall fall into mischief. As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the people. So where does knowledge, wisdom, and understanding all start?
Fear of God.
The fear of God. So happy is he that feareth always. You're allowed to be afraid of God. I don't think of anything else that I know of, but you have to be afraid of God. That's where it all starts. And if you fear God, what else is there to be afraid of? Because God made everything else, right? So, The prince that wanteth understanding is also a great oppressor, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. A man that doeth violence to the blood of any person shall flee to the pit, let no man stay him. So a prince that wanteth understanding. This is a bit of older English. This doesn't mean a prince that wants it. He's like studying, he's trying to get it. This means one who has a lack of. Wanted. He's been found wanting, meaning he's been found in a lack of this. So a prince that lacketh understanding, or does not have understanding, is also a great oppressor. He's not a king, but he can still do a lot of damage because he's in positions of power. But he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. But if somebody who doesn't want to be a prince, doesn't want to be in power, doesn't care about it, he's not going to make a lot of enemies like everyone else will. And we'll talk about those enemies moving forward. A man that doeth violence to the blood of any person shall flee to the pit, let no man stay him. In this case, the pit is talking about is a pit hole, cistern, dungeon, fountain, pit, well, but in this particular case, the pit of the grave. Meaning, if you killed somebody in the Old Testament with violence of blood, they would kill you back pretty quickly. And let no man stop it, let no man stay him, don't hide him, don't do anything. He killed somebody, quickly kill him back. Don't murder is what it's saying. They didn't take lightly to that. So what about Moses? What about Moses when he killed somebody? Moses was what? Don't say a prince of Egypt. That was a movie. But he was given a higher up position. He was the princess's son, so he was, or adopted son, so he was kind of up there. He had a little bit of prestige. What happened when he killed somebody? No more prestige. They were going to kill him back. They did not like that no matter what position you were in back then. So even he had to run away and hide. Whoso walketh uprightly shall be saved, but he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once. He that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain persons shall have poverty enough. Give me all your money, I'll make you rich. Or go buy a bunch of crops and plant food. Choice is yours. Bible tells you right here, don't follow after the people that are going to make you rich. That are going to try to get you rich quick. You ever heard of that? Get rich quick schemes, pyramid schemes and all that? Yeah, that's good for them because you're giving them all their money. But here it says, he that tilleth his land shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain persons who are only looking after themselves, shall have poverty enough. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. To have respect of persons is not good, for a piece of bread that man will transgress. He'll sin for literally nothing if it's just to get him a little bit of gain. He that hasteneth to be rich hath an evil eye, and considereth not that poverty shall come upon him. So have you ever heard it said like no one's ever made $1 million honestly and stuff like that? Or the super rich people have had to step on a lot of toes to get there, or have to cut a lot of people off. You ever hear like, oh, it's a ruthless business in this game? Well, they're not lying about it and it's going through. So the get rich quick starter packs, you can do penny stocks, which is a joke, by the way, don't do that. You can rob a bank if you want to get rich quick. Crypto, don't do crypto. The marketing that we were just talking about, I kind of jumped the gun on it. You can just print counterfeit money to get rich quick. Or you can play video games professionally to get rich quick. Just kidding, you can't do that. Like 20 people in the world do that. So that's what it's saying. There's no way to get rich quick. And I think Warren Buffett's one of the guys, he said, the problem is nobody wants to get rich slow. And that's why nobody has a lot of money. They don't play the long game. Everybody wants it quick and up front. He that rebuketh the man afterwards shall find more favor than he that flattereth with the tongue. Whoso robbeth his father or his mother, and saith, it is no transgression, the same is the companion of a destroyer. Didn't know that, did you? If you steal from your parents, take from your parents, that is a companion of a destroyer. You are sinning when you do this. So don't do that. Don't be this person. He that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife, but he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be made fat. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. Is a what?
Fool.
A fool. But whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. How many times have you heard it in the feel-good sayings? Follow your own heart. Just trust your heart. Follow your heart. Follow your gut. You are a fool, biblically, to do that. Why?
Heart can be deceitful.
Deceitful above all things, it says also in Proverbs and somewhere else. Man's heart can be deceitful, can be deceived, and it is evident it can be deceived even from Adam and Eve, from the very first part. So don't lean on your own understanding. Don't trust yourself. Run it through Proverbs even. That's what Proverbs is good for. Find a situation, pick some Proverbs out for it. There's probably an answer to it somewhere. That's why it's wisdom, understanding, and knowledge all over the chapter. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. When the wicked rise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. So he that giveth unto the poor shall not lack. Who was it that was here that was praying for the poor guy she saw for like 2 Sundays in a row? Is that Chloe?
Chloe.
Yeah. So she's on the right track with that. But he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. So how many of you, a poor person's come up to you like, hey, can you spare a few bucks? And you're like, I'm busy or not right now, and you kept walking. Knowing what I know, don't feel bad for that. Because a lot of them have a little system, a little game they play where they come and do that. But if someone's literally on the street and you look at them and you're like, ooh, that person's poor and needs some help. Like their shoes are, like their feet starting to get frostbite or something and it's very cold outside, or they look really skinny. Look at poor people, the really poor in America, and look at their body weight, for example. They're not hurting, right? So let's not get that. If they're like bone skinny, like the ones over in Africa and stuff, give them food. Go find them something to eat. You're probably sinning greatly if you don't do that. But I've hung out with a lot of homeless people, gypsies and all that. I kind of learned the way they work, so now it doesn't bother me when some of them come up and ask for something. I'm like, dude, I know the game, and I'll tell it to them. They're like, which is weird. Who would have thought that they would all have like their little gangs and cliques and do different stuff and know how to get the money from people? But if someone really needs it and they really are poor and they really need help, you must help them. When the wicked rise, men hide themselves, but when they perish, the righteous increase. Who was happy when Stalin died? Everybody. Everybody's like, yes, finally this dude's out of here. We get food and stuff again. Who was happy when Hitler died? Probably a lot of people, because they're like, okay, we just don't want a war anymore. We were tired of fighting. We lost. Let's call it a day. Let's go home. Get out of everything. But when a wicked person dies, it is okay. It even says in another part of Proverbs that you can rejoice in the street. Rejoice when the wicked die. But when they die, the righteous increase. And it's kind of a slow trickle down to the end of this chapter. But that is indeed the end of Proverbs 28.
Very good.
All right.